Hello YouTube. It's been quite a while since I've updated. This is another entry in my video diary for my breast reduction, tummy tuck, and liposuction experience. Today I am 6 weeks and 1 day post-op. So I'm just going to give you an update on how I'm doing with recovery, and I'm actually going to show you the tummy tuck scar at this point. I'm not going to show you the scars on my breasts because I'm not going to put that on the internet, but I did have some issues there, so I'll give you an update on that as well. I don't remember exactly where things were the last time I updated. The last few weeks have been rougher than I expected. Very happy with my results. Looking in the mirror makes me happy, but it is tiresome. This is a long recovery. And, in the last couple of weeks, I've really kind of had the blues. I've been really moody, just been really tired of not feeling normal. And of course it's hard because I don't want to complain to people because it's a blessing that I was in a position to get this surgery. I have friends who would really love to get it. So I don't want to go around whining to everybody because I know that this is all good and that in the long run I'll just see the results and this recovery time will just be a little blip in my memory. But to you guys, I'm going to let you know that it kind of sucks from a day-to-day basis when you're in the middle of it. So a week or so ago I was still experiencing quite a bit of discomfort, still having trouble sleeping, still wanting to be on pain medication. I've now been off the narcotic pain meds for a little over a week. I know a lot of women get off it a lot sooner. I didn't really see the reason to. I wasn't, after that first week or so, I wasn't having any more issues with it impacting my digestive system, or at least not in a severe enough way that it bothered me, so I'd rather be comfortable. So I did get a couple of refills on the Percocet. The last refill I got, the doctor did knock down the dosage without saying anything to me, which I thought was kind of funny, sort of giving me a hint that I needed to sort of wean myself off. And so I did. I took that last bottle and I started spacing them out. So the last few days I was just taking one pill in a 24-hour period, and only when I felt like I really needed it. And now I'm done, and they're all gone. So I'm taking ibuprofen when I think I need it, mostly just at night. The incisions on my breasts look a lot better in most respects than my tummy tuck incision. They're just a lot smaller and lighter and just not as gnarly looking. I did have some issues where I had, on both breasts, I had areas underneath. I have an anchor incision on both breasts, and the anchor, the part that goes down from the nipple to the crease, I had openings on both sides. One of them on the right was about that big, and the other one was just a tiny little dot. Freaked me out. The doctor was not concerned. It's not uncommon. There was no sign of infection. He had me treat it with silver sulfadiazine and gauze. It was just frustrating because at that point I thought I was done with gauze, at least where my boobs were concerned, and to have to go back to changing wound dressings multiple times a day was just uncomfortable and worrisome. Those are closed up now, and the scars where that is definitely wider, but it's on the underside of my boobs, and I'm really not too worried about it. I think I've got a long way to go before I'll know what the scars will ultimately look like, so I'm not worrying much about anything I'm seeing at this point. About less than a week after those spots opened up, I had a couple of spots open up on my tummy tuck incision. Didn't go into the doctor for that, just treated it the same way. I did have to call the doctor at one point because he did say that if there was a stitch coming out in the middle of an opening that I should try and remove that. He had showed me during my last appointment how to pull the end of the stitch, and a lot of them were, and basically the deal with the stitches is this. There was very few external stitches, and the very few external stitches that were there were removed within the first week or so. And those were basically, there were a couple right in the middle of my tummy tuck incision where the pull was the most. And then there were some where the drains went in, and I think that may have been the only, oh, and there were some in my belly button. Those got removed very early on. Other than that, all of the stitches are internal. Of course, the ones in the muscle repair that actually sewed my abdominal muscles together, those are permanent and will always be there. But the other stitches, he explained to me, they do them in layers, and they're dissolvable. But it takes about 3 months for most people's bodies to dissolve those stitches. And as part of the healing process, your body will sometimes push them to the surface before they dissolve. That's called spitting stitches, and a lot of women deal with that, and it's not considered a problem. But it's interesting to see it happen. You kind of get this little bump, and then you get the end of the stitch starts peeking out, and what you're supposed to do is grab the end of it with some tweezers and tug gently. That's where I think you sometimes have trouble, because a lot of the areas where the incisions are, especially my tummy tuck incision, the whole area around my incision is still completely numb. So I may think I'm tugging gently, and I might actually be tugging harder than I realize because I can't feel anything. And most of those stitches are a little white. They look like little white nylon, like fishing line or something. And it'll either pop out and it'll just be a little piece of it, and that's fine, you're great, good to go, or it won't. And if it won't, if you're tugging and it's not going anywhere, you just said to just pull it and then just snip it as close to the skin as possible. So I actually bought a pair of cuticle scissors for that purpose. One of the openings in my tummy tuck incision, I had this really thick black thing sticking out. And I started tugging on that, and it wasn't going anywhere, and so I was going to clip it. I realized it was a stitch, but it was very different. Well, as I was tugging it just to clip it, I just suddenly started bleeding everywhere. It was a little scary, you know. It was just a small opening right next to it, but it was like pouring blood. Like literally I was grabbing gauze and applying pressure, and I had the doctor's office on the phone. He was in surgery, but by the time his nurse got to the phone, it had stopped bleeding. And she said that that is a nylon stitch, and it's a deeper one, and it's okay. It worked its way to its surface. It's not that big of a deal. She said it probably would have bled had they pulled on it in the office. And she said just keep pressure on it and leave it alone. And I will see the doctor again on the 19th. So at that point, he'll deal with it. I mean, I did clip it down as much as I could once the bleeding stopped. So all this stuff, you know, before surgery, I would have been really freaked out by this sort of description. Living through it, it's not that bad. Dealing with the stitches, it's not a big deal. I think if I could feel it, if it was very painful to touch that area, then that would be different. So I've had a couple of openings on my tummy tuck incision. I am so close to having those completely closed, and I'm going to show that to you so you'll see that. It's not gross, it really isn't. At this point, I think the one that was the biggest is basically closed. It's just hard to tell. The new skin is so thin and it's a different color. And I try to not touch it with contaminated hands. Basically, I wash my hands with antibacterial soap. I'm very careful about how I touch everything, and then I apply the silver, and then I put gauze over. Luckily, the width of where all of those little openings are perfectly fits a long piece of gauze that I don't remember what the dimensions are, but you can buy these long strips of non-stick gauze at CVS, and then actually cut those in half lengthwise. And that fits perfectly, and I've got one of those on right now, so you'll see, and I'll lift that up so you can see underneath it. It's not gross or anything, it really isn't. I just put some silver on there, so you'll probably see that cream. The rest of my incision, it's weird. Parts of it are awesome, beautiful, completely flat. They feel totally smooth, and then parts of it on the side are really kind of gnarly looking still. They just look kind of knotted and rolled. My skin on my hips is so dry, and everything is closed there, so I'm allowed to just put lotion, and I put lotion every time I pretty much have any reason to take my pants off. I'm slathering myself with lotion, but I've got winter skin anyway, and I guess this just makes it worse. Excuse me. So I think the tummy tuck openings are almost closed up. When I take the gauze off now and change it, there's just tiny little pinpricks where I can see where it's oozed, whereas it used to be there'd be like little pockets where I could see it had oozed out. Again, no infection, just normal healing from what I understand. Excuse me. Still have a good bit of muscle repair pain. It bothers me when I cough or I sneeze. I'm looking forward to that being gone eventually. It's just kind of tiresome, and I'm still swelling quite a bit. The swelling never really seems to go completely away. I'm really wanting to try lymphatic drain massage, and I have a great referral for that, but I've been afraid to go while I had these openings. Now that everything seems to be closing up, I think I'll hopefully start doing that soon, and I'm hoping that will help with the swelling. I've been decent about my eating and drinking and stuff over the holidays, but not perfect. So I am drinking a ton of water. I'm still not touching soda. So hopefully the swelling will eventually go away, but you'll see when I show you, I have a bulge above my belly button that I can tell is swelling. It doesn't feel like a seroma or anything, but that definitely gets bigger over the course of the day the more active I am. And by the end of the day, if I've been very active on my feet a lot, my whole lower abdomen is definitely distended a bit. but it's relatively early in the day. I haven't done much today, so it's not too bad right now. So without further ado, I will give you a look at what I'm dealing with. This is a big old hoodie, which doesn't seem like much, but I had stopped wearing this because it's a medium, and with my gigantic boobs, it wasn't comfortable to wear, but I could never get rid of it for psychological, sentimental reasons, so I'm glad I kept it. Alright, this binder is a new one that I bought. The hospital one that I had was really, really long, and I'm very short-waisted, and I had a lot of trouble with it. It kept coming up under my boobs and was uncomfortable. It also got to where it was too small. I had not worn it in a while, and a couple of weeks ago I decided I would try it out because I had a couple of different ones. And he had put a line on it to show me how far to tighten it, and he had put that on it right after surgery, and at that point I could pull it 2 inches past that line, and it still didn't feel like it was providing enough compression. So I dumped that one. And then I had this shorter one that had been a loaner from a friend, but it was already worn somewhat. So that one just kind of got flat worn out. And this is one I just bought about a week ago to replace that one. It's a bit shorter because I am so short-waisted. So this is like the very top of my lady garden area, I guess you could say. And this doesn't come right up under my boobs, which I like. But it does kind of, I have to keep kind of tugging at it is the only thing. But I find it more comfortable than the wider one. Alright, so you can get a good idea of, there's that bulge I was talking about, and kind of stick it in. Good idea of the size and shape of my boobs in this shirt. I'm just wearing, this keeps coming undone at the top, I'm just wearing these Walmart front close soft sports bras. I've got, they're 2 to a pack for $10, so I have like 10 of them, I think. Because I like to always have cool ones. Anyway. This is, this tattoo I had before. It used to be a lot rounder and smaller, and it was way up here. So it got pulled down, and my new belly button kind of got stuck. The doctor and I were talking about trying to make it in the middle of the tattoo, but that didn't work out, so it's down here now. But that's okay. I actually don't hate the way it looks. I had thought I would do some laser on it and then cover it with something else, but I've actually gotten a lot of compliments on it, so I may just leave it. It'll, of course, look better once the scar around my belly button fades. This is the only area I've really been doing scar treatment therapy so far. There's some cream that I bought from my doctor. I can't tell that it's made a difference. But it's not raised, it's flat. It's just kind of red still. And I was wearing a silicone earplug inside my belly button to keep it open. But it's just, it was kind of uncomfortable. It kept popping out. And there, you know, I can put my finger in there. It's not closed up. It feels like a normal belly button, and I think it looks pretty normal. So I haven't bothered with the silicone earplug anymore. These are my favorite new bikini panties. I bought these at Costco in a pack of like, I don't know, there were 6 or 7 in a pack. They're super soft microfiber, so comfortable, and they also beautifully cover the scar. So I would highly recommend these, or at least they work well for me. So this is what my tummy tuck incision looks like. This is the gauze area I was telling you about. It goes pretty far back. I asked him to go as far back as he needed to because I wanted as much rolls as possible removed from the back. And I'll show my crack there. So this area is still a little bit scabby right here. I don't know if you can see that. And it feels raised and kind of ropey through here. This area right here is totally smooth, and it's a small line. Like, I wish the whole scar looked like that. It's the same on this side. This area right here is the best healing area. And then you can see this side. Right now, I think I've got a little bit of a dog ear right here, but I'm hoping that will go away, or as I work this down through exercise, maybe it'll flatten out. I'm not too worried about it though, because it's very easily covered. Alright, these are the areas where things haven't been totally healed. And again, this is where my drains were. These scars down here. This is a little bit, has been a little open right there. This was the largest opening here. And I think that's basically closed up. This is where that nylon stitch is. You can't actually see it right now. But it's nice, and I really like the way he did my incision. It's nice and straight. I try and use as little tape as possible. I have the non-irritating paper tape, but it's still irritating when you're using it every day. So I use the tiniest piece I can, and then I just hold the gauze in place with my underwear. And then every time I change it, I put the tape somewhere different to try and not keep re-aggravating the same area. This is all swelling here. This wasn't as bad initially, but that's what I'm struggling with right now. I say struggling, it's not really a struggle, it's okay. But I'm hoping that that goes down. And this is where I feel most of the soreness from my muscle repair. This I can kind of feel. As I go down right about here, this is all completely numb. I mean, I know I see myself. I can feel that there's something touching me, but I can't feel anything significant. I still have hardness here. This is a liposuction scar right here and right here. Okay, 2 on each side. That's where the liposuction cannula went in here and here to liposuction the flanks and the bra rolls. And I think he did a great job with that. So there you have it. That's how things are looking these days. And since I said that things have gotten a lot better, since the 6-week mark yesterday, I have a lot more energy. I started sleeping in my bed again finally just 2 nights ago. Slept in the bed. I tried it a couple times prior to that, but could never make it through the whole night. It's weird. I will wake up really uncomfortable, but if I just shift positions, then I'm okay again for a few more hours. I think it'll be a while before I can sleep like 8 straight hours, and I really wasn't doing that before surgery. So I drove my 6-speed. I have a little Mini Cooper S 6-speed that I love. It's my my darling car, and I had not driven that since surgery because it's really low to the ground. It's kind of hard to get in and out of, and I didn't really want to be dealing with the clutch and everything. And we've had another car I could use that was an automatic, so I went back to driving my car yesterday and had no problems again, so that's also great. So I'm finally starting to feel like I can do normal things again. I definitely still feel weird. The numbness feels weird. I don't have full range of motion. I can't perch my back and stretch completely. That feels like something's going to hurt badly if I do that. I haven't started working out yet again. I think I can start doing that on a mild basis any day now. I'll probably talk to my doctor about it next week when I see him, and then start setting up some time with my trainer again and get back into it. I'm very motivated by the shape of my torso and by the size of my boobs now. I want to get my arms and my legs toned up to match. And I think that's everything. So if you have any questions or comments, just post them below. Thanks.